Hello guys and welcome back. So now in this video we will be adding the weapon switching mechanics and also the weapon enable and disable mechanics as well. Okay, for now if we remove this and play the game, you will notice that the rifle is active but the player is not playing the rifle's animations. Alright, so we want that when the rifle is active we want to play the rifle animations. Alright, so in order to do that, let's first of all create a new script. So I'm gonna click the scripts folder, and then in the player folder let's create a new C# script by the name of weapon switcher. Click on player and drag and drop this script at the top. Alright, then you can open this up in Visual Studio Code, remove the start and update, and at the top we will create a game object array. For now we have only one rifle, but if you want you can add more rifles to the player. Alright, that's why we need to make this an array and name this as weapons. Then create an integer by the name of current weapon index, equal it to -1. Then create a public animator, name it as animator as well. Then create a private reference to the input manager script, name this as input manager. Then in the start method we're gonna say input manager equals to get component, get the input manager script. That is it. Alright, now for example if we have more than one weapon, then let's toggle between that weapons. For example, if we press the 1 key we want the first weapon to be active, then if we press the 2 key then we want the second weapon to be active, and the same for 3 and 4. Alright, so in order to do that we will say public void toggle weapon. It will need an integer which we're gonna name as weapon index. And now first of all what we want to do is we want to check if the same weapon is already active. We will then deactivate that active. For example, if you press 1, alright, it will active the first weapon, and then if you press 1 again we want to deactivate that weapon. So for that we will say if the current weapon index is equals to the weapon index, then in this case we will deactivate the weapon. Alright, for now we don't have that method, so we're just gonna leave a comment and then we're gonna return from here. Now for example, if we press 1 it will activate the first weapon, then if we press 2, then in that case we want to deactivate the previous one and activate the new one. Alright, so for that we will create a new method now which will be by the name of select weapon. Alright, this will need a index, I mean an integer which will be by the name of weapon index, and in this we're gonna select the new weapon, but let's just do that in a separate method. Okay, so we'll say public void update weapon on network. Alright, I have named this update weapon on network because later we will be working on our online system as well, so that's why I've named this as update weapon on network, because we will be updating that on our network as well. So right here first of all we will deactivate all the weapons if any are active, and then we're gonna activate the new one. So weapon index is greater than or equals to 0, and the weapon index is less than weapons dot length. Then we will say weapons weapon index dot set active true, then the current weapon index will be equals to weapon index. Alright, now let's create a method to deactivate all of the weapons first of all, because we will be needing this method a lot. So name it as deactivate all weapons. Now we need to deactivate all of them, so we will create a for each loop in which we will loop through all of the weapons in the weapons array. Okay, so we will say weapon dot set active false, and the current weapon index will be equals to -1, and we will also be playing the animation as well. So we will say animator dot set active, and we want to set the rifle active to false. Alright, now right here when we select any new weapon, we now need to and deactivate the previous one and activate the new one. So we need to call the update weapon on network method, and for the parameter we will pass the weapon index to it, and then we need to play the animation. So we will say animator dot set active, actually dot set bool. Alright, we don't need to call set active, it is actually set bool, and the bool name is rifle active. Alright, and this time in the select weapon set it to true. Alright, and when we are toggling the weapon right here, we need to deactivate all of them. So right here, let's call the deactivate all weapon method right there, and then we're going to return, and then right here after the if condition we will call the select weapon method as well, to which we will pass the weapon index. Alright, so now let's toggle between the weapons. Okay, when we press the 1 button, we will activate 1, then 2, then 3, and then 4. But first of all, in the start method, let's deactivate all of the weapons, alright? Because when the game starts, we don't want any weapon to be active. Now, let's toggle between the weapons. So, right here, I'm gonna say if input dot get key down. Alright, if you want to use the new input system for these weapons to change, then you can set up the inputs for that. Alright, but I'm gonna just use the default Unity for now, since we will be changing this to a mobile game, so this doesn't make any difference. Okay, so we will call it toggle weapon, and we're gonna activate the first weapon if the alpha 1 key is pressed, or you can say the 1 key is pressed on the keyboard. Then we will say else if the alpha 2 key is pressed, then we're gonna activate the second rifle, and then if we press the alpha 3, then the third weapon will be active. Okay, and of course when the weapons are active, we need to play the animations. Alright, we need to change to the rifle animations. So right here, let's add a if condition in which we're gonna say if input manager dot shoot input is pressed, or the input manager dot scope input is pressed, then in this case what we're gonna do, we will say animator dot set bool, and we want to set the rifle aim active. Alright, because when we are shooting or when we are scoping, we want the rifle aim active to be true. Okay, and then in the else we will say to set the, let me copy this, This time we gonna set the rifle aim to false. Okay, and as you know that when we select any rifle, the rifle active will be true, and if we remove it, it will be false. Alright, this is the rifle active animation. But when we are shooting, or if we are aiming, or you can say scoping, then the rifle aim active animations will be true. Okay, so that's why we type that right there. That is it. Okay, and right here it automatically type the input manager name right there. This is just input right here, input dot get key down, and right here it is input manager because the shoot input and the scope input is on the input manager. Okay, so you can now save the script. Get back right here. We need to add the weapons in there and the animator. So the animator is on the player, so we'll just drag and drop the player. Now for the weapon, for now we just have one weapon, which is this one. So I'm just gonna drag and drop it in the weapons array. Alright, and let me select this weapon and duplicate it. Alright, this will be our second weapon. And what we want to do with the second weapon to change it from the first one is, let me check. Alright, we have this material right here, which is this one. So okay, we can't change the material because we didn't do anything to it. So I'm just gonna create a new material right here, name it as weapon 2, change its color to, for example, red. Alright, and let me deactivate the first rifle and leave the second rifle, and you can apply this red material to, for example, at the top right there. Alright, and then you can duplicate it, name it as weapon 2 mag. Alright, and we will change the mag color of this to black. Alright, right here, change all of it to black. That is it. Okay, so now we know that we have two types of weapon. If you want, you can add some other weapon, or you can add some pistol. But when you add pistol, make sure that you change the fire rate and the damage of it to according to the pistol. Alright, just make sure to change the rifle fire rate and that according to each rifle. Okay, so since this second rifle will be a little bit higher, or you can say a little bit upgradable, so we will increase damage to 20. The fire rate will be the same. You can leave both of them as active, but just make sure that you add the second rifle to the weapons array as well, so that we can switch between them. Alright, you can leave both of them active, but you will notice that when the game starts, they will be automatically disappear. As you can see, they are disappeared. Alright, when we scope, the player can still play the scoping animations. We don't want that. We want only the player to scope when the weapon is active. Okay, now if we press one key, as you can see, the rifle is active and the rifle active is true and the rifle animation is playing. Alright, but now if we try to scope, as you can see, now the rifle aim animation is playing, and if we shoot as well, the rifle aim animation plays. Alright, and when we reload, we can reload perfectly fine. Alright, and when we aim, we can run. If we remove scoping, as you can see, the player plays the animations perfectly fine. It transition between it perfectly fine as well. Alright, we can jump as well. But now let's test the toggle, or you can say switch rifle. So now if we press 2, as you can see, the second rifle is active. If we press 1, as you can see, it just disappeared. If we press 1 again, it is active. If we press 1 again, it disappeared. If we press 2, there is the second rifle. If we press 2 again, it is deactivated. Alright, as you can see, it switch between the rifles perfectly fine. Okay, now we need to solve that issue in which it when we press scope and the rifle is not active, it still plays these animations. So in order to fix it, what we're gonna do is, so it is pretty simple. What we have to do, as you can see right here, we have this current weapon index. So we're gonna check that if any rifle is active. Okay, so we will say and current index is not equals to -1. Alright, which means that it should not be equals to -1, because if it is equals to -1, then it means that there is no rifle active. Okay, so it should fix the issue. Alright, if we play the game now and if we scope, as you can see, the player no more play the rifle animation, but if the rifle is active, it then play the rifle animations, as you can see. But when it is not, then it doesn't play that animation. It plays the locomotions, as you can see. Alright, there is also one more issue. For example, our rifle, we didn't shoot, okay, and the rifle ammo is full, but if we press reload, it still reloads even when the rifle ammo is full. Okay, as you can see, it still reloads. So we want that if the ammo is less than the max ammo, then in that case we will only reload. Okay, let me check. Where is the weapon script? Right here. Okay, when we reload, here it is, where we call it right here. If we press the reload button and this reloading is not true, and also if the, let me check the name of it. Okay, ammo, we will reload only if the ammo is less than 30. Okay, in that case we will only reload. Okay, so now if we reload, as you can see, the player no more reloads, but if we shoot and then reload, as you can see, in that case only the player reloads. Alright, so that issue is fixed. But of course there is one more issue. If for example the player fires 2 or 3 bullets and then we reload, it will decrease one of our mag fully. So you can add a condition for that. Okay, that is for you guys to fix this, because it is just a simple fix. Alright, you can check if the ammo is less than, for example, 20 or 25, then in that case you can decrease the mag, or else you will not decrease the mag. Okay, so now with this done, let's end this video right here.